Welcome to the Teacher's Carpenter, building better lessons one strategy at a time. Today my guest is Kay. She's awesome. Say hi, Kay.
Hi, Kay.
And we're going to be talking about things that you wish you knew or things that you wish you knew before you became a teacher.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so Kay, tell our audience, our thousands and millions of listeners, why did you choose this topic?
Why did I choose this topic? I think because throughout my career, things have happened where you're like, how am I supposed to handle this? And I just have to decide on the spot.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what teachers do, right? We
Yeah.
make decisions every single day that just come on the fly. You just have to figure it out.
10,000 million decisions. Yeah. Because we also get like 10,000 million questions.
Yes.
How many questions do you think you answer in a day?
When I say we, some of my friends and I got those counters. Did you do that?
I should do that.
I should have brought you a counter. Anyways, we saw that on TikTok and we had those little finger counters. And actually, you know what? My kindergartners, they go home, let's see, they start school at 9. They go home at 12:30-ish. And I only got 75.
Wow.
I was only up to 75. I thought
that seems like a low day.
Yeah, but I did it again and it was about the same.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, let's really think about that. 75, that's and how long are you there with the kindergartners?
Like 3 hours.
Yeah, that's a lot of questions. 3 hours. But you know who I think actually answers more questions than teachers? School secretaries.
Well, sure.
I was thinking about that.
Yeah.
I'd like to give my school secretary a counter too,
totally.
and then compare, because I bet that it's like 300. Yeah. If I'm answering about 75,
because they have a phone too.
Yeah. Well, I wonder what grade level has the most. Now I'm getting into it.
Mm-hmm.
Has the most questions. So, all right. So that's that.
Anyway,
that's our why. How about you start with your first thing on your list that you have?
Okay, let's see. So something that I didn't really, something I wasn't prepared for. How about if we just go with class management?
Okay.
And how about you've got your kids sitting in front of you and you're reading a story, you're trying to start a lesson, and then somebody screams that there's a fly in the room. And then you've got 5 to 10 kids now all running around because there's a fly in the room.
Well, and I think that it's a fly, a spider, thunderstorms, rain.
It could be a bird
wind,
too.
A bird. And it doesn't matter the grade level. Okay. It was, when did we have, we had some rain like 2 weeks ago, I think. And all my kids ran to the window like they had never seen rain before. They're 6th through 8th graders. Yeah. Really. And of course the big 8th graders in the very front with his like face pressed against the window. And I'm like, yeah, y'all, it's rain. Yeah. Let's go back to our seats now.
Yeah. Or again, teaching a lesson right in the middle of the lesson. My tooth fell out. That happens all the time because they're 5. My tooth fell out. Or just, it's my grandma's birthday.
Okay, so what do you do?
It depends on I guess with the fly, then you do a call and response, you do a clap, 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 and then hope to God the fly leaves. Yeah, flies away. The tooth thing is, do you ask them, do you need to rinse out your mouth? Do you want to, actually I said, okay, let me have the tooth. We'll have it for safekeeping. And then we have a little song that we sing. So they know they want that song sung to them. So we say, I promise to, if we all sit down quietly, then we'll get to sing the song in a little bit.
Well, I think that what you're saying too reminds me of the fact that we're also entertainers.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And if I can be more entertaining than the fly,
which you can be.
The spider, you too. Yeah. Whatever that thing is, whether it's like, we're going to sing the song or look at me singing the song.
Yes.
I think whatever that is, that helps like distract them.
Right. So I think as a new teacher, you don't know that. Like you haven't had enough experience to know which song am I going to bust into or what am I going to do next? You just don't know.
Yeah. Well, and I had classroom management on my list too. And I put, it's more than an attention getter. You must know what you're talking about, like as a teacher, and you've got to build relationships with the kids too.
Yeah.
Because I think that like a substitute teacher is going to have a lot harder of a time with a fly in the classroom than I am.
Right. And that's why they have to bring in stickers and kind of bribe them.
If you're a substitute teacher out there listening,
bribery works.
Yes, bribery works. Stickers. Even though Michelle Obama, who's one day going to be a guest on here, I'm certain of it. You know how much she loves education. I've been reading her memoir. Anyway, but candy.
Yeah.
Sorry, Michelle Obama, but every now and then I can't give him a stick of broccoli. It's not going to work.
I actually did bribe with candy the other day.
What'd you give him?
Well, okay, because it was
that rhymes.
Because it was our week to talk about roots and root vegetables. We're studying plants and plant parts. We always do a taste test. And I had told them on Monday we're going to be tasting radishes. And some of them flipped out. And they were already, I think, like I placed anxiety in this one kid. And he was just like, I don't want, every day he asked. And I felt bad because I thought maybe Tuesday we would get to it. And then, something happened where another, lesson or something went over. So we had to push the radish tasting to Wednesday. And then it went to Thursday. And then every day he kept saying, are we going to do that? I don't want to do that. Are we going to do that? I don't want to do that. And I was like, well, how about if I say something's good, like we're going to do something fun after, fun to him or fun to just, and then I was like, oh, I'll get Hershey's Kisses. I have a kid who can't have gluten. So, right. So no gummy bears, whatever. I don't want to give him lots of candy, but just like a little taste of something. And he really, at first, even for the chocolate kiss, he was like, I'm not doing it. I was like, okay, well, you don't have to. But then he saw everybody getting the chocolate.
He was like, he did it.
I'm so proud of him. He did it. I'm going to eat that radish. And he did. Yeah.
That reminds me of that.
But don't say it.
Yeah, the SNL skit.
Our favorite.
Yeah. Y'all, when we used to work together, we sadly don't work in the same school anymore. But when we worked together, how many times did we watch that SNL skit? It was the one, you're going to get in that van and you're going to get you some candy.
Get that candy.
I don't remember the name of it. Y'all can look it up. Oh, Chalet. Chalet?
No.
People are screaming at that. Yeah.
Something like that. Anyway.
So... kids.
What were we saying?
We were saying amazing things.
Substitute teachers.
Bring candy.
Bring candy and stickers.
Well, I did cookies too. When it's Girl Scout cookie season, I get me some. I get me some Girl Scout cookies. Okay. Those are one Girl Scout cookie. I mean, I guess there are people on here that are like, stop giving the children candy. Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm not a perfect person. Yeah. It works. It works.
Yeah,
it does
we rarely bribe. But
well, and we do things like you're doing the veggie. Yeah, and you don't use this.
Yeah.
I would not use this every day, all day long. No. Like you will have, then you have another thing I wish I knew before I was teaching. One that I just thought of that is not on the list. Halloween, Valentine's Day. Let's see, what's another one? After Easter are some of the hardest days of the year for teachers. Yeah. Halloween strikes fear in the teacher.
That's why we have to start a petition to just have Halloween on like the last Friday or the last Saturday of October.
Yeah. Or make it a holiday.
Yeah, just don't come to
the next day.
Well, the next day, don't come to school. Yeah.
Halloween Day is fine. They don't have all the candy.
Yeah.
But that next day.
You know what other holiday? It's not even a holiday. It's Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah.
For some reason, this year, Monday was a holiday. Was one of the presidents' day? I don't know. Anyways, it was really nice.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they just come to school and they lose their mind. And windy days and full moons. But Halloween is the worst. I do wish I knew that about Halloween though. That was one that was like, why are they like really? Yeah, because they've gotten up in the morning. Not all of them, but because some of the parents will take and hide the candy, right? And then give it out to them as but some of them just have access to that candy. And
get that candy.
And so they eat the candy for breakfast. They eat the candy for lunch. They fill their backpacks with candy. They're giving out candy to all their friends.
Pass it out. Yep.
Yeah. So that's another thing to look out for is candy.
Yeah. Okay. So things we didn't learn in the Crunch program. those holidays.
Yeah, we did not learn that.
Watch out.
That should be like a whole class.
It should be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We should make up that class and then we can teach it.
Yeah.
It'll be amazing.
That would be amazing.
Yeah. All right, what else you got on your list?
Okay. Sorry, I'm gonna have to look at here.
That's all right.
How about, okay, well, if we're talking about another something that they don't prepare you for, okay, so there was the fly. And how about, I'll tell you about a story about when we were doing we had oral presentations that children had to do. And another kind of craziness to add, the layer to add to that was it was hybrid time. Where the kids came back. Some kids were still at home on Zoom. And there was a camera on me and the class that would just move, right?
Right.
So then I had my concerns about the children at home being able to see everything, and then the children in the classroom. Anyway, all right. So this child is presenting her bug presentation. That's kind of what we do, towards the end of the year. One of their projects is to learn about an insect and present it. So she presents it, and we ask her questions, and then I say, and we all applaud, and yay, we applaud, and then, when kids are learning, okay, applause means you sit down, and she's still standing there. And we're all, and then the kids are just like looking at her, okay, because they're like waiting for the next person's turn, and I'm like, okay, go ahead and go sit down. And then finally I'm like, okay, something's wrong. So I have to whisper to him, like, what's happening? I'm like, what's going on? And then slowly there's a puddle forming on the floor, and she peed in her pants while she's standing there. And whether she was nervous, whether she had to go to the bathroom and didn't ask before her presentation, I don't know. So anyways, I had to figure out, well, and then like there's that layer of the kids at home who are like, what's happening? What's happening? And then there's kids in the classroom where I'm like, well, talk amongst yourselves, and luckily, I mean, my class was really well behaved. They sat there and they're just kind of like, okay, we'll just kind of wait. Like no one's going crazy. So, and we have a bathroom in the classroom. So I help her go into the classroom. Go into the bathroom. And then I'm like, okay, we'll just go ahead and take, whatever's wet. I'm trying to be very sensitive. Whatever's wet, go ahead and take it off. And then, I'll call the office and we'll get some change clothes. I don't believe she had her own set in the class. So anyway, so that I kind of get the rest of the kids onto some other task. And then I go back in and check on her, and she's taken every single piece of clothing off. So she's standing in the stall completely naked. And so that's another layer of like, okay, well,
what do you do now?
What do you do now? And so making those decisions very quickly. I mean, basically, I just call them for reinforcements. So it's kind of like, okay, well, that's about all I can do. Go put your top back on. Like,
well, and I forgot, I have the same story because I taught kindergarten for a year too. And we were doing I think we were going on a dragon hunt. Dragon hunt. And this little boy loved the dragon hunt. And we would all at the very end all like pop up and go, yay, or something like that. And we all popped up and went, yay. And I was like, woo, wet spot, giant wet spot, because he didn't want to miss the dragon hunt. So he did. But, called the office, immediately called the office, and I trained the kids. The bathroom was not very far away. So trained the kids to like go to the bathroom. He had his all my kids' cubbies, they have a change of clothes. So Ziploc bag to the bathroom, a person in the office met them there. Those are things that you definitely need to think about if you're teaching in primary grades. About.
I think, so something else popped up in my mind is like another thing maybe you don't really understand is maybe not to take things or every little thing so seriously, because when something unexpected happens, and with experience, you decide, okay, how serious is this situation? Right. Because, and this was at the school where we worked at. And I think you might know this student, but we were like leaving the cafeteria to go back to our classroom, and we're all lined up, and they're like, Mrs. Tanamachi, so-and-so's drinking out of a puddle. And I look back, and he's on the ground like a puppy drinking out of the puddle, like lapping the water in the puddle. And I just went, and I was like, oh, well, he might get sick. Let's keep going. He'll follow.
Oh, my God. What is it? Giardia, right? Oh, my goodness. Yeah. Well, like that. And then, when you have a kid, I had a sixth grader who was on the spectrum, and every now and then he would become a frog. He loved frogs, and he would become a frog, and he would get under his desk and then he would ribbit around the classroom.
What do you do?
And so, and then, what do you do?
I think you just kind of let them, again, if, like, your perception of this situation, are you going to take this is this a very serious situation? I mean,
Yeah, well, and here's the thing is that all the kids in the class loved him.
Yeah.
And I think the first time I was like, oh my goodness, I need to stop him. I need to stop him from being a frog. And then I was like, it's not stopping people from learning. He's doing his thing. He's getting his like frog mojo out so that he can come back and learn. Let him be a frog. Let him be a frog. Another kid I had, oh my goodness. I loved this grandma so much, but she was being raised by her grandma. And so anytime she would get out of line, I would call grandma. Grandma had this like perfectly coiffed hair, perfect fingernails, jewelry perfect, like dressed to the nines all the time. She was ready. She was always ready to meet the president of the United States, Michelle Obama, 2020, whatever election is coming up. But and you could hear her come down the hall with her high heels, click, clop, click, clop, click, clop. But this poor little girl, like she had a lot of stuff going on, but she would have full-on tantrums in the classroom, like screaming, yelling, like, and it was a result of the trauma.
Yeah, right.
And I think sometimes when we're working with kids, and stuff like this happens, especially when we're new teachers, we're like, oh my God, what is wrong with me that I can't get this kid to stop so that they can learn? Because we love the kids also. That's the other thing that happens. I think that's really what you're speaking to also is don't take it personal. Don't take it personal. It's not, if you are loving the kids, working hard, and doing your best to teach the kids, you're a good teacher.
Yeah.
You are not a bad teacher if a kid has a tantrum.
I'm wondering if new teachers have a hard time with that, though.
I did.
Yeah.
I did. I think I took things.
What did I do?
Yeah, I took things really personal.
It was so long ago. I don't know if I remember.
How long have you been teaching now?
29 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think I've been teaching. I never know. 2014. 11 years.
Oh,
yeah. Okay. There you go. 11 years.
Was Slow? No, you were somewhere else. The place where we.
Yeah. But I think that's a really big thing too. Well, you can't think of. I can think of like lots of times that I took things really personally. Like with that girl, at first I took things really personal. When kids wouldn't follow directions the first time, I would. But they're kids.
Yeah, exactly. They're always just kids, whether they're 5 or 12.
Yeah, or 18.
Yeah.
Even, I think that's the other thing, even though we're talking about teaching, I think that's also true of adults. Like if I get upset with like a colleague, I don't need to take that personal.
Right.
It's not, I'm not boss of the world. Yeah.
You'd like to be.
I could be boss of the world.
Be good at it.
I'd have you be on my in my.
All right. You know who we want as boss of the world? Michelle
Obama. Yeah, Michelle Obama. Michelle Obama. All right, what else you got?
Okay. How about okay, you want to know, like, I put this down as bad advice.
Yes.
Okay. One piece of advice I was told by a veteran teacher was don't get close to the parents.
Oh.
What are your thoughts on that?
I like to have
your first impression of when somebody tells you don't get close to the parents.
I would say what parent and why.
Exactly.
Like I would say why not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because so why wouldn't you, right?
I think maybe why wouldn't you is that sometimes, and I think everybody's different. Mm-hmm. I think depends on what kind of teacher you are. And there's like no shame to that. If you are like, these are my professional boundaries, you can't have my phone number. Mm-hmm. You can't,
for sure.
We can't be friends.
Mm-hmm.
We can't.
Yeah.
But for me, I get close to parents.
Right.
I go to Slide Park every year. I get close to parents.
Yeah. And for me, I have many volunteers in the classroom. And then I end up having their siblings, and then they will continue to volunteer in my classroom. So of course you want to foster positive relationships with parents. I don't know if she meant more like don't go out for drinks with them, like don't go, or I don't, or
let's go to the club.
Yeah, or did you? I'm sure there's stories about that.
I bet there are. I go clubbing with my child.
Or you run into them at the club.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Stuff like that. I don't know. Anyway, they might think very positively of you in that way. But I feel like, and then I learned, I think I questioned that as a young teacher. Like I didn't take that advice. I questioned it. And then as I grew into my own skin of being a teacher, I learned that the more positive you are and the stronger relationship you have with parents, you gain trust. So if you have to deliver some not so great news, they're more willing to hear you or be open-minded about
because they know you.
Yeah, because they know, I'm not making stuff up, like, right? Or I'm not, parents are always concerned about like, oh, does the teacher like my child? They always, right?
Well, and I think I think the same is true with students. I will, I think there's that line of I think there's always a line. It's just where do you set it? How much of myself am I going to let my students know about me? And I think that's into direct relationship to what do they need? Like I know I'm a teacher and I'm delivering, I'm trying to get them to reach grade level standards, but they're going to reach grade level standards a lot better if they like me.
Right.
And that's by sharing who I am. Right. Am I sharing like every my entire life story?
Right.
No. But they know who I am.
Yeah. So kind of to touch on that, yesterday I was a guest speaker at my daughter's high school for career day. Spoke to what a kindergarten teacher's job looks like and how they can get their teaching credential and things like that. So at the beginning of the talk, I asked the students, so these were freshmen and seniors that came to me. I asked them, what were the characteristics of the teachers that you really loved that made an impact on your life? And they all said teachers who were flexible, teachers that made time for me. They really were warm and funny, and they let us know that they cared about us. And then so when they all kind of finished sharing, I was like, do you guys realize that not one of you said, wow, my teacher executed their curriculum flawlessly? And they kind of chuckled, but I was like, but that's teaching, right? You have to have those relationships, and that those relationships extend to their families and their parents. And so I just wanted them to know, like, that's, if you're going to become a teacher, you better like kids, you better be patient, you better have a sense of humor.
And then I'm going to trick you into learning along the
way. Exactly.
Well, and I think it's not even tricking. I think kindergartners, for me, it was most of my kindergartners are like, yay, whatever I'm doing. It was, yay, all right, yay. Yeah. With middle schoolers, it's like, really? Really, Miss Chandler? But because they know me, I'll be like, really? And let me tell you why we're doing this. And then they're like, all right, I'll do it. And they'll do it because they like me.
Exactly. And some kids might just do things just to please you, And I think actually I read that somewhere. It was a podcast that I heard that some children, because of the trauma that they've come from, the negative experiences that they've had with education, just they can't sit and listen, and they just can't do it. They just can't do it. But if you say, can you do it for me? Because they already love you. Can you do it for me? A lot of times they will.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool when I heard that.
And I think that brings us to another thing I wish I knew when I started teaching was not every single student is going to do everything that I asked exactly as I ask it. Right? Like they are. And so I'm going to ask you to speak to that. What do you think about that?
Yeah, no, I agree, because we're all different, but we're all on a different journey as learners, right? And so some children may choose to do something, complete a task their own way. And that means, are we flexible? Can we accept that? Because otherwise you're just like a dictator asking people to comply. Right. And there's a difference between being compliant and being, what's the word? I don't know.
Yeah.
Right. Like You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you want everybody, you have an end game, you have an end goal. You want everybody to get there. And I think as good teachers, we can notice that everybody's going to take a different path.
Yeah. Well, and also, what about those students who don't do the work? What do you do with them? The kids that, nope, I'm not doing this.
Yeah. And then you have to figure out why. Why aren't they doing it?
Yeah.
Or are they traumatized by addition somewhere along the line? Or do they just have a bad morning? Or, is this like a one-time thing? Are they just not doing it today? Or are they consistently not completing work? I mean,
is there something going on at home?
Medically, trauma at home. Again, is it a consistent trauma? Is it something that's just happening for that day? Yeah.
And I think that goes back to, again, like, I love my kids. I love my students. And if I have a kid that's coming in and they aren't doing the work and it's consistent, or if it's just for whatever it is, then it's my job to dig into why.
Right.
And then again, it goes back to not take it personally.
Right.
If I can't get them to do it.
Right. And then when they start doing it, can they just do one or two problems?
Yeah.
And then be like, wow, praise for that.
Yeah.
Or then I guess reach out to home. Can they do this work at home? Because really, I mean, they have to learn the material.
Right.
So maybe they already do know the material. They're just not producing the evidence on paper. Is there another way they can show that they know the work that was presented, right?
Exactly.
And how can we get parents to help with that?
Amen.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Paying attention to what school you're at and what you might need going into that classroom, and the setup time. I think that was another thing.
Yeah.
I my first few years teaching, I went into, I was really excited, but I went to the classrooms a month before I started teaching to set up. Now I do about a week, a couple hours.
Yeah, don't you feel like even after that week, you're like, oh no, I need more time. Like it's never good enough. It's never, you just have to, I think, okay, well, maybe this also goes back to, as a teacher, you have to realize when there's a cutoff. Otherwise, you're just going to go insane.
Yeah.
Like teacher brains never stop, right? So even with decorating the classroom there's always another thing you could make or prep, that word prep.
Yeah.
Like there's always something else and then I think like most teachers, you also want to be kind of ahead of the game too, because you already know something else could come up and you're going to be busy again. And then anyways, you're always excited about ideas. You always want to prep things. And so there's got to be a cutoff time. But going back to about how much money you spend or just knowing the school you're going to be teaching at. I was telling the high schoolers yesterday that I ended up in primary because it was a job offered to me. I've never taught anything above second grade. And so had I been offered a fifth grade position as a 23-year-old, would I have said yes? Yes, I would have said job. I will take it. And maybe I wouldn't have loved it. And maybe I would have asked to be placed in a primary classroom after that. But you don't know where that job offer is going to come from. Right?
So I think being flexible too, when you first, I think that's a really important thing.
Yeah. Too. And I mean, if you work in one district, you're going to get paid the same no matter what kind of school, if it's Title I or not.
Yeah. So find that place that you work best.
If you're lucky enough to be able to have a pick of places. Right.
Yeah. I mean, my very first year, I was commuting 55 minutes. No, 55 minutes. I was commuting like almost an hour. Yeah. And then I had the opportunity to not do that anymore because I was charging up the credit card with gas. Because that first year teacher salary is not fun, even though we are in the state of California. Yeah. So that's, take the job but you know that too, even if you do take that fifth grade position and you're like more of a primary person or more of a middle school person, the other jobs will come. Yeah. I think both of us now have like our dream teaching positions. Yes. I work with level 1 EL students who are really sweet and thoughtful. And then I work with AVID students who really are forward thinking about their futures.
How old are those guys?
Same age, 6th through 8th graders. Okay. Well, this year I have 7th and 8th graders. So next year I'll just have 8th graders because we're building the program at the school that I'm at now. So we're building that program, which is really cool.
All right.
Yeah. Let's see. What else we got on our list? Let's see. Oh, yeah. Not everything will be perfectly timed.
You mean like lessons?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because you get a lesson, you get really into it, and the kids are into it. You're like, oh no, we ran out of time.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what you're talking about?
Well, no, both sides of it. So there is that, like, I've created this amazing thing. The kids are really into it. We're like going. You're like, oh, wait a minute. I need to teach math.
Right.
I need to like stop this.
Yeah. Stop this learning.
Yeah, I need to stop
this engaging.
Or maybe I don't. Maybe I make, and I think those are the little things too, is that it's not, I'm going to teach calendars from 8 until 8:15, and then the next lesson is 8:15. Yeah.
You got to make adjustments all the time.
I don't, did you know that? I didn't know that.
No.
I didn't know that.
No. And I think the other part too is when that happens, don't panic. Mm-hmm. I think you just don't know. Like, I think everything's just like, oh no, I didn't finish. Mm-hmm. Oh no, now I run out of time. And then, but I have other things planned the next day.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
So, well, and then having fillers, because sometimes it's too short, or sometimes it goes sideways.
Yeah.
Do you have any stories about that or anything?
Oh, lessons that go sideways?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I have one from just the other day.
Oh, boy. Tell us.
And again, this was a talking point to my high schoolers yesterday. So I thought this game was really cool. So I saw it on TikTok or Instagram. I don't know. And the kids are learning their teen numbers. Mm-hmm. So numbers, I want to make sure.
11 teen. 12 teen.
Yep. And so I want to make sure. And 13, not 30, right? And we have to make sure that they can write that 110 and then the ones after. So I'm kind of seeing, can they form those numbers? Can they come up with a number between, what did I say? I said, at first it was like 0 to 10. And then I went from just to teach them the game. And then we went from 11 to 20. Because again, teen numbers, right? So all the kids are lined up in a row, in a line. They have their whiteboards, right? And they have to write a number. The purpose of the game is last one standing. You can't have the same number as someone else.
Okay.
Because then instead of saying you're out, you become a ghost. Ooh, and you go sit down. You're ghosty.
So they have to go sit down.
They have to sit down. You're out.
Okay.
And you can still play with your whiteboard on the carpet at your desk, but you're a ghost, right? So you're silent. You're whatever. Okay. Anyway, so then I guess kindergartners don't get that because they just wanted the same number as their friend. So you're supposed to hide because you don't want someone to have the same number. You want to hide the number that you're writing. They kept looking at it. I could not stop them from looking at each other's boards. And they would always just come up with the same number. And we did about 4 rounds. And I was like, this is not working.
Oh my God.
Let's be done. It's like, wow, you all wrote your numbers very well. I can tell you know your teen numbers. But we never had like last person standing. Well, I mean, they just kept on writing the same number, but it just didn't work out well enough to where we had the last person standing. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Anyway, so that, yeah. Other than that, I mean.
Well, yeah, and I think you reminded me the other day, I had, maybe about a month ago, my AVID students, I'm big on teaching presentation skills. Yeah, we got to be able to speak in front of people.
Yeah, we do that gender too.
Whether it's you're speaking in front of like people like this, or you're speaking in front of people that are like live in front of you, you got to know how to do it.
Yeah.
And I had this whole plan on, okay, I'm going to give them like front-loaded, like scaffolded note cards. They just have to fill in the blanks and And I had like, y'all, I'm a veteran teacher. I should have known better than this. I had all these note cards, 9 note cards for them to copy.
Okay.
You lose them. They're like, why am I copying all this? And so it's at that point you kind of, and maybe every group is different. Maybe a different group would have been fine. That would have been a good way to teach them. But I realized you're looking at your audience.
Yeah.
You look at your kids and you have like, they're like very sadly you're like, okay, this is not how I like to teach. So then I go, hey, you know what, guys, we're not going to do this.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to think of a different way to teach you all this. And
that's great.
It's and being honest with the kids about your mistakes.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and I apologize to my kids all the time.
Yeah,
just for whatever reason, just whatever it is. Like,
I'll say this was a bad lesson.
Yeah, also, this is not working. It's not you. It's
this is me. This is me. But at the same time, I will tell them when I know. No, I have taught this 1,000 times. I know this is a good strategy.
Yeah.
I know this works, and I knew that you were going to do this and bump heads with me. So we're going to keep on doing it because I know it's good for you. So usually those are like organization things.
Yeah. I think also then maybe we have to
writing
as
writing. Oh, sorry.
No. I was just thinking teachers always have to think ahead. And that's part of it, right? So you're thinking ahead because even I don't know. I guess maybe kinder and manipulatives, and you learn. So in the credential program,
I love this manipulatives.
You always learn. Let them explore with the manipulatives first. Let them touch them. Let them count them. Let them I mean, okay, sure, but you have to be so tight on how you pass out manipulatives, what you expect of them using the manipulatives. How are you going to collect the manipulatives? It's so strategic and you have to be so specific. And then, I mean, I just purchased these cool magnetized discs and you use them for blending sounds and segmenting, the sounds, right, in a word.
Yeah.
And it comes with a magnet on a stick. So when you zap the letters to say the word, zap. Oh, all they wanted to do was zap everybody's counters, and then the little counters were like all over the floor. And you're like, okay, maybe we needed more practice with that. But they're 5. Of course, that's exciting.
Yeah, it ain't just 5-year-olds. It is not. So because I teach level 1 ELs, I teach phonics because I'm teaching, right? So we have sand trace.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So S says, A says, G says, t. You cannot just give them the sand. You can't in the tray. Well, and then with the tray. Well, no, what's really fun is that you write the word and then you go, so then you shake it out so you can write the next word. But if I just handed them the sand, kindergarten or not kindergarten, what are they going to do with the sand? Even some adults like us. It would be us, you and me. This is why we know. Yeah. But what do you think they do with the sand?
Touch it and then shift it. I mean, basically do anything with it.
Yeah. You do. And I do give them time to play in the sand after the lesson. Yeah. So I give them a minute or two just to play in it. Yeah. Because I front load it with, do we eat the sand?
Right, totally.
And then they go, no. Yeah. Do I do this with the sand? And so asking, you have to.
Oh, you know what else I think as a teacher, a new teacher, I think, or as you grow as a teacher, you learn what makes kids laugh. Okay. Yes. Which is basically what makes us laugh.
Yeah, because we're kind of
like underwear, that'll make them laugh. You could say, because when we go on a field trip, we prep for a field trip and don't bite the adults who are driving you. And they just think it's so funny, right? So you say the most ridiculous thing to get their attention because they're smart enough to know oh, she's joking. Right. Right. So I think you build your sense of humor as you go.
I do. And I talk a lot about pandacorns and unicorns and imaginary things and the kids love that, even though that my kindergartners loved it, my middle schoolers love it too. Yeah. And it is who I am. Right. I am who I am in the classroom is who I am in the world. Yeah. So if you are goofy like me and Kay, just be yourself, whatever that is. Yeah. Right? And the kids.
But if you're grouchy and grumpy, maybe teaching's not for you. If you're crabby all the time, maybe teaching's not for you.
I mean,
you're going to get crabbier. It's not going to help. Teaching's not going to help.
And if maybe you really reach the grumpy children, because childlike grumpiness.
I don't know.
That's a
Grumpy
thing.
kids want to have fun too.
I know, it's true. Grumpy kids have imaginations. Yeah, so I wish I knew that. Anything.
I have a couple more.
Yeah, go
ahead.
for it.
No, you want to go?
Yeah. Attention getters. I do want to talk a little bit about attention getters. You need to have a million of them in your pocket.
Physical and call and response?
Anything.
Yeah.
I do. Everybody was kung fu fighting. Huh.
And the kids say, huh?
Yeah. The clapping one, copy the clap with me. If you can hear me, clap once. If you can hear me, clap twice. If you can hear me, point to something green. Point to something blue. Point to someone who's talking and say, shh. Point to oh, good. I was talking, but so all that, you have to waterfall.
Your bag of tricks. Do you have the doorbell?
No, tell me the doorbell.
Got it on Amazon. It has like 50 different sounds. So I'm scrolling through every one until I got to the one that I like. Anyway, we call it the Bing Bong. Bing Bong. And it's like a doorbell. But no, actually, it sounds more like the old school speaker. Loudspeaker where they go ding, ding, ding.
Oh,
and
yes.
They say, good morning. Whatever. Okay. Anyways, I challenge them to get as few Bing Bongs as possible so I can start talking. So if I have to hit it 4 times.
Oh, no.
Man, you guys have beat 4 before. Okay, maybe I'm going to challenge you. They always love a challenge. I'm going to challenge you to get less than 4 Bing Bongs today. I just like saying Bing Bong.
Well, and I think that's another thing too, is that if the next time it takes 6 Bing Bongs, maybe you need to dial back on that one. Maybe you need to teach it again.
Something, absolutely.
Use something different. Yeah. And every group is going to be different too.
Yeah.
Although I got to tell you, if you can hear me clap once, that one and the pointing, it's my tried and true.
Yeah.
What's your tried and true?
Tried and true.
Your best one.
Okay, so the call and response so far, I started it probably last year because I'm brainwashing my children to love the Sacramento Kings. Mm-hmm. They know if I say Keegan, they say Murphy, and they know if I say Litha, they can scream Beam. Mm-hmm. That's good. But then you know about the secret star students? Secret students? A secret student?
I feel like I've heard secret student. I know secret student.
So now you do it as a group. So you can either pick one student out of the whole class or a number card to represent their group number, however you organize your groups. And then
just chaos. Nothing. My groups are chaos. Do whatever you want. However many people you want in your groups.
That's called flexible seating.
Yeah.
Whew. So they don't know who it is, which group it is. Mm-hmm. And then you do the reveal after, but during the work time, whatever it is you need them to do. For me, it's just volume. It's work volume and being on task. And so I set that expectation. And then there's a reveal at the end. So if they met that expectation, because they don't know who it is, right? So everybody's working because I can't be them. So then I do the reveal. And then we have a little star jar. I have a star. Yeah.
And again, it's a million things and it's whatever's going to work with your students. Yeah. And what works for you too.
Totally.
Yeah. All right. What else you got? You said you got more on your list.
I have you ever thought about how did you learn how to read stories out loud, read aloud? So you are a natural.
I was gonna say I love people are like, why aren't you on Broadway, Chandler? And I'm like, because I have a captive audience every day. Yeah,
I know. So that kind of so I have another one that goes along with that, but
what about you? For you, okay.
So no, I realized I love reading stories to kids. I don't act, I don't sing. I was never on a stage. It's not anything that I love to do, but I love reading stories. And then I've developed ways to do a call and response to help them with their comprehension of the story, right? And a lot of time we're just reading the story for fun too. But and what made me realize that is I was listening to there's an after school program that comes into my classroom, and there's leaders in there. I heard let's just say I heard another adult reading to their small group, and bless those children that were listening, because it was Don't Let the Pigeon Drive the Bus.
Oh, I love those. Yeah.
Which is Pigeon's crazy. Pigeon is insane. Yeah. and he's screaming all the time, right? But the way she read the story was so sad, and I kind of felt bad. So I actually thought maybe she doesn't have reading fluency, but it was very monotone. And the bus driver said, "Hey kids, I will be back in a minute." Like I was working in my classroom, so I led them my classroom, and I had to look up, and I'm like, "What is happening? I've never heard someone read a story like that." And again, bless those children, they were listening. Oh my gosh! And one time she said she was reading a different book. Oh my gosh! And one of the kids corrected her pronunciation on the word. 5-year-old. I don't know what it was. She said something incorrectly, and they were like, "Oh, that's porcupine." And she was like, "Oh, porcupine," like something like that. Then it just made me think, well, how did I develop my love of reading stories? So I don't know. For me, like I've listened to other authors read. Like I've gone to actual, I've heard authors speak at a talk. I've seen YouTube videos of people who can, who read stories.
Right.
So anyway, that's just one that there's no class on how to read a story.
There isn't. For me, it's like, I want to make it interesting.
Yeah.
If anything I do in my classes, you are an entertainer. Like
Yes.
we are so many things, and we wear so many hats as teachers.
Yes.
And like, I've got to bring fun. If I want them to pay attention to the story,
right.
I got to be fun.
Right.
I do other little things, like not even just the how did I learn to read. You were talking about what you do to get the kids to comprehension too. I have the level 1 ELs, and so, all right, these are the words that we're listening for. If you hear that word, you hear me say that word, you pop up out of your seat and you say the word.
Yeah.
So ways to make it fun.
Make it fun.
Because school should be fun.
Yeah. Engaging. School should be engaging. The other part that kind of goes along with that is, I think it takes experience to have particular responses to children when they say certain things. Okay, so like because you can't just yell, "Stop it! Sit down!"
What?
So the Miss Chandler. Or how do they if they tattle? Like, what do you say?
What do you do because just so y'all know, middle schoolers be doing this too. Again, if you're teaching primary and you're listening to this, middle schoolers be doing this too. High school students be doing this too.
Because you get tired of saying, "Please stop. I need you to stop." You always do the I message. I need you to stop. And sometimes it is, I need you to stop. Right? Yeah. So what you want to know what I do?
What do you do?
Which one?
What do you do? Let's start with tattling. What do you do with tattling?
Tattling is, sometimes I say, "Are you trying to get someone in trouble?" Because no, of course not, right? They're gonna be like, who's gonna say yes? But I'm like, that sounds like a tattle. It's not a report. It sounds like a tattle, right? So words like report, I think you learn along the way. You just pick up script, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So when they keep saying my name over and over and over, I'm like, I know, I love my name. I know my name. Thank you. What should we do if you need help?
Yeah, my kids say it's fair, and it's at first I didn't understand. I was like, my name is Miss Chandler. My name is not teacher. Why are you? But it's a sign of respect.
Yes.
So my students call me teacher, and so I'm cool with that now. But now it's teacher. Yeah. But in my Avid class, it's Miss Chandler, and just so you know, kids are not going to stop this.
Right.
You can't really train it out of all of them. You're going to have that kid that's holding on at the very end of the year. When you turn around, there they are. Yeah. Right there in your face. Like, why are you hearing him?
Yeah.
So it's, again, you got to be patient because they're kids. Don't take it personally because they're kids. I do, whenever I have a kid right there, I do not look at them, and I have the whole class say, "I need Miss Chandler." I raise my hand. So the whole class,
as a reminder,
"I need Miss Chandler," and then the class will go, "I raise my hand."
Nice. Nice.
So that's my little trick for that. And then they giggle because they think it's funny. Yeah. And then they go back to their seat and raise their hand. Yeah, and then I go to them. They have to practice.
Use that one.
Yeah.
They not that they're not calling the student out, but they kind of are. They're helping them.
Yeah, and of course, like if there's a student that's really sensitive, I wouldn't do that with.
Right.
But it's not; those are not the kids that are coming up to you a million times. They're not the ones that are like that would go in with that kind of attention.
Right.
They're like, oh, okay, that's what I need to do.
Yeah.
The tattling, I'm like, I always say to kids, is this a safety issue? Is there something that you want me to do about this? Yeah. Why are you telling me this? Or is this something that you can handle?
Someone else's problem. Was the problem handled? They're like, yeah. And I'm like, great.
Yeah.
Sometimes I just want to tell you.
Moving on.
I learned certain scripts or lines from when my daughter was little. Mm-hmm. Dude, watching Dora, she says things 3 times.
Yes.
And I make my kids say things 3 times. Mm-hmm. I say it, I keep it short and sweet, concise 3 times, and they have to repeat it back 3 times. Mm-hmm. So I learned from that. Some of our educational toys, they actually say some pretty cool things. Like I learned, like she had like some little like ABC, like you're supposed to say, which letter says ah, makes the sound ah, right? And you push the wrong one, and it doesn't say wrong. It says not quite. And I love that. Could you imagine my kid's toy just went, no, dummy, you're wrong.
I think that we have an idea for some great educational toys now.
I think so. But I love that it's like you're not telling the kid they're wrong. You can say try again, right? Try again.
Yeah.
But not quite.
Yeah. Wrong.
Not quite. I really like that. Not quite.
I do too. Almost there. But try again.
Try again. It's just that how do you communicate effectively
with loving kindness?
Yeah.
Loving kindness.
It comes with time, and you pick it up from all over the place.
Yeah. And again, it's the little like toolbox that you have gets more. It gets fuller and fuller. Yeah, gets more and more things.
Yeah, and it's surprising how much you can keep in that toolbox and how much you can remember.
It's like Mary Poppins' bag. Yeah, never ending. Mm-hmm. Is there anything else you have on your list before?
How about just like nuggets of wisdom? Kind of.
I feel like that would be a good way to.
Okay. All right. This one did come from one of my professors in the credential program. Was be the teacher you want your child to have. Mm-hmm. That's a good one. Which, right? Nobody wants a crabby teacher for their child.
I had one crabby teacher. Bless her heart. I'm not going to say her name on here, but she was really mean to me. She put me. I mean, you know me.
Were you a little hyper? Was that
just a little? All my other elementary teachers were like, okay, what do I need to do with Miss Chandler? And I always do a shout out to Miss Thomas, my 4th and 5th grade teacher, because she knew what to do with me. She got me, but she used me as like her assistant teacher.
Yeah.
Other teachers did not know what to do, and especially this one lady. She was very old and crabby, so she sat me right in front of her desk. I could not if I started moving my head, she's like, no, don't do that. Don't be that. Like, figure out what to do with that bouncy kid. Yeah. Figure out what to do with that kid. That's.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And I think you and I have already talked about this one because we've known each other for so long, but kids who are loved at home come to school to learn. Kids who are not loved at home or feel the love at home come to school for love.
And give them the love.
Yeah.
If they aren't there to learn, I'm telling you that it's okay.
Yeah. And that comes with connection again. We're right back to making connections with your students.
Yeah.
And that's how you get them engaged.
It all comes down to just love your kids. That's the biggest advice is if you walk into a classroom as a brand new teacher and you aren't connecting with the kids and you're like, then maybe teaching's not for you, and that's okay.
They're like dogs. They can sense you. If you're nervous, they'll know. They'll
you alive. They will. They will.
Yeah. So but if you just come in and exude warmth and positivity, you got them.
Yeah. Whatever that looks like, because it's going to be different in your class and my class, because we're different, and whoever else you are. Again, I feel like I'm saying that same thing again, but yeah, I think that's really important.
For sure. Mm-hmm. All right. I think that's all I got.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for tuning in today. And remember, go out there and build something great. And also, like, subscribe, follow, share, do all the things. Like,
give it a thumbs
up.
Give it a thumbs up.
Yes. Do all those things. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in today.
Thank you.